Hey guys, so I just wanted to give a little recap, I guess, on my third trimester because I haven't done that and I'm almost at 2 months postpartum. But since I gave one for my first and my second, I just thought that I should do one on my third because things happened and I think it's good to just share. So I guess in my third trimester, I really noticed my energy levels started to decline. I wasn't working out as much or as hard. At about I was only training like 4 times a week, let's say. Sometimes more, but more so like about 4 times a week. I wouldn't train as long, maybe like an hour. I noticed that I couldn't go, like, my heart rate would increase really fast, so I couldn't go as long. My camera's gonna die. Anyways, let's just see how much I can get done here. Yeah, so my heart rate I would just feel tired a lot faster, so I was doing only like 3 sets of stuff. I was still able to lift pretty heavy actually, so that was really good. In terms of nutrition, I kind of was able to start eating a little bit more normal, like how I was eating before. So throughout most of my pregnancy, I didn't want vegetables, I didn't want any meats or anything, and towards the end of the third trimester, I was able to eat normal again. And I almost started to feel like the baby was done growing or something, because it was like I was back to being me and I wasn't being influenced by him anymore. Like, my nails started breaking, my cravings were back to how I normally like to eat. I just started noticing changes, I guess, that, yeah, the beautiful thing of having really strong, long nails throughout my whole pregnancy started to go away at about 37 weeks. So, what else? So that happened. I also ended my third trimester at about 196, 200 pounds. I started at 160. So, that's what, like 35, almost 40 pounds, and 25 to 35 is supposed to be the healthy weight, but I gained on the higher side. Probably contributing to the fact that I had a major bread addiction and I ate like so much bread, so many carbs. I don't know, I definitely put on fat. I don't know if it was because I was eating too many calories or just my body's way of being in a healthy state for my pregnancy. I'm not really sure, but I have definitely lost a lot of it already. So I think that it was just my body's way of being its healthiest state, was gaining all that weight. Also, I noticed at about 30, let's say 37 weeks, all of a sudden my face just like blew up. That pregnancy like face was real. My nose felt swollen, my lips felt swollen, my face just felt a lot bigger. I had no chin or jawline. It was just like, I don't know, just this big swollen face to neck, completely just all in one. I also started having a lot of trouble sleeping, like major insomnia. I don't know if it was because I was getting anxious for the baby's arrival, because I didn't really find I felt uncomfortable, but I definitely had trouble sleeping. I also started experiencing pelvic pain, like pubic symphysis, which if you are working out, you should definitely pay attention to this, because there's certain exercises you need to avoid if it's happening. And I basically just trained on how I felt. So if I was feeling pain, I wouldn't do those exercises. But it's basically pain in your pubic region. And it just feels uncomfortable, or like it's snapping. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but it just doesn't feel good. So I started experiencing that, I think at about 36 weeks. So it was like for about 2.5 weeks of the end of my pregnancy. Another thing about my third trimester is that I used coconut oil and like that Palmer's cocoa butter stuff on my belly all the time. And then as I got closer to the end of my pregnancy, I got a little bit lazy because I got sick for that week or whatever. And so I didn't put much on those few days, and I don't know if that contributed to it or what, but my belly started getting super tight and stretching, and maybe it was just inevitable anyways, but I do have stretch marks. They were super low, so I didn't even notice that they were there because my belly had expanded so much I couldn't see below it. And so I did get some really super low. My midwife was actually the one that pointed it out. She's like, hey, you got some purple marks coming in here. They might not last, but they definitely did. They're even sore to touch still. And so yeah, I got stretch marks near the end. Even though I always put lotion on and oil and everything, I still did get them. So they're not horrible. I can try and show you. But, oh, there's some boobs. I don't know. So I can try and show. Can you see those? So there you go. That's what they look like. So they're still pretty fresh, and so that's what they look like. They're still pretty fresh. So I don't know if they'll get smaller or minimize. Like, I have really big boobs and they grew super fast when I was like 12 years old. So my boobs are lined with stretch marks, and they used to be that purple color. And they all turned white, and you can kind of notice them, but if they're like pushed up, you can't really see them. And I'm assuming that's what my stomach will be like too. So, oh well. I don't know. I never really worried about stretch marks that much. I always just thought they happen, and I don't know, maybe because I'm used to it because I have them all over here. I already know that they kind of go away and they're not that big of a deal. And it just shows that you had a baby, a beautiful blessing. And now anytime sees your stomach, they'll be like, oh hey, she has stretch marks. She must have had a baby. Yeah. So I don't mind that I have them, and you shouldn't either, because it's just, you know, part of having a baby. It happens. So yeah. Alrighty. Okay. Also started having cramping and Braxton Hicks at 34 weeks. It wasn't, so it didn't happen often then, but by 37 weeks, it was starting to happen every day. And then it almost started having like a little rhythm to it. And so it sometimes made me think like, am I in labor? But I wasn't. I never went into labor. So yeah. And then at 37 and a half weeks, I think, all of a sudden I was just sitting on the couch, because that's what I did a lot of the time by the end of my pregnancy, and I started vomiting, like, what's it called? Like, explosively. It was just constant. And then it also started coming out of the other end at the exact same time, and this went on for like an hour straight. And so then someone's like, call the nurse. And so I tried to call the nurse's line, and it was dumb. I'm like trying to talk on the phone to them, telling them what's going on after they're asking me like 1,000 questions. I'm like puking, and it was just disgusting. So I ended up going into the hospital because of it, because it can be a sign of preterm labor, apparently, when you start getting really, really sick and throwing up. And so, yeah, I went into the hospital. They should have put me into maternity ward, but they didn't. They put me through emergency, so I sat there for like 2 hours, didn't know what was going on. My baby could have been dying by this point because they didn't check my heart rate, nothing, or the baby's heart rate, sorry. So I didn't know what was going on. They had no explanation for me. And so then I finally asked, and I said, can I just leave and go up there? And they couldn't let me. They had to clear me first. And then so I went up to the family birthing unit, and they saw me and they checked everything, and they said that baby was fine, but they also found out that the baby was breech. So that's kind of when I realized like I'm probably gonna have to get scheduled for a C-section. But they also let me know about that, what's it called? ECV, external cephalic version, ECV. Basically they try to turn the baby using their hands on the outside of your belly. So they're trying to turn a baby around, and it's really painful, and they don't do it very often anymore, but I really wanted to try for a natural birth. So, or vaginal, I should say, not natural. So what was I gonna say? So when I basically talked to my midwife about my options, and she said try it because it worked for her. So I wasn't going to do it because I read online that it can be really scary for baby. It can just like drop the heart rate, it can harm him and all this stuff. So I didn't really want to do it. But she said, go for it. You'll know if it's too painful, just stop. And for her, it worked. So I tried it. It did not work. It was very painful. The baby's bum was like really wedged into my pelvis, and that's why it didn't work. Like if he was sitting a bit higher, it may have, but he was comfortable. He was not going anywhere. And I like to think of it as it being his way of doing what was best for him. So trust your baby. I don't know, like maybe it was the safest way. Maybe something bad would have happened if I did vaginally deliver. So I'm okay with the fact that it was a C-section. But I did try, after the ECV, I tried lots of acupuncture. I walked around with little pin needles in my toes. I did that moxibustion or moxie whatever thing too, and none of it worked. So I tried everything and he wasn't turning. So, oh well. And then I ended up being scheduled for a C-section. So that's what ended up happening. What else did I want to say? But yeah, that's pretty much it. I won't talk about that in this video because I just think that I will do like my birth story and my 4th trimester, like what it's been like being a mom in the first 2 months and everything I experienced post C-section in another video, because that'll make this one really long, because I'd like to go, you know, what really goes on after, because it's not so glamorous. And yeah, what else happened? So another thing about my 3rd trimester is that I used coconut oil and like that Palmer's cocoa butter stuff on my belly all the time. And then as I got closer to the end of my pregnancy, I got a little bit lazy because I got sick for that week or whatever. And so I didn't put much on those few days. And I don't know if that contributed to it or what, but my belly started getting super tight and stretching, and maybe it was just inevitable anyways, but I do have stretch marks. They appeared, they were super low, so I didn't even notice that they were there because my belly had expanded so much I couldn't see below it. And so I did get some really super low. My midwife is actually the one that pointed it out. She's like, hey, you got some purple marks coming in here. They might not last, but they definitely did. They're like, they're even sore to touch still. And so yeah, I got stretch marks near the end. Even though I always put lotion on and oil and everything, I still did get them. So they're not horrible. I can try and show you. But, oh, there's some boobs. So I can try and show. Can you see those? So, there you go. That's what they look like. Like, they're still pretty fresh, so I don't know if they'll get smaller or minimized. Like, I have really big boobs and they grew super fast when I was like 12 years old, so my boobs are lined with stretch marks, and they used to be that purple color, and they all turned white, and you can kind of notice them, but if they're like pushed up, you can't really see them, and I'm assuming that's what my stomach will be like too. So, oh well. I don't know, I never really worried about stretch marks that much. I always just thought they happen, and I don't know, maybe because I'm used to it because I have them all over here. I already know that they kind of go away and they're not that big of a deal. And it just shows that you had a baby, a beautiful blessing. And now anytime sees your stomach, they'll be like, oh hey, she has stretch marks, she must have had a baby. Yeah. So I don't mind that I have them, and you shouldn't either, because it's just, you know, part of having a baby. It happens. So yeah. Alrighty. Okay. Is there anything else I can tell you about my 3rd trimester? Not really. I just enjoyed the time that I had. Me and my now husband did lots of stuff. Oh yeah, I guess in our 3rd trimester, that's something I can mention. We decided to get engaged and then married in, well, a week before I ended up having the baby. We didn't know it was going to be a week because I was scheduled for my C-section on the 25th of November, and then they moved it to the 20th, and I didn't know that that was going to happen. So a week before the baby was born, we decided to get married. we got engaged on Friday, got married on Saturday, and had the baby on Monday. So we decided to do everything all at once, and that's not what I originally had planned for or wanted. We both said that we weren't going to rush things, and we were just going to get engaged and do everything the normal way and just have it happen. But I don't know what it was. Like a week before, we were sitting at dinner together, and I was like, why are we not married? I think it was more like all the appointments, everyone kept saying husband, and I was like, why aren't you my husband? Like, you may as well be. We live together, we're having a baby, just we're embodying what marriage is anyway, so let's just do it. And so that's what happened. I don't know, it just all of a sudden was like, this just feels right, let's just go do it. And so we went to look for wedding bands, and wedding bands were actually pretty expensive. I didn't know that like any ones that I liked were gonna be over $1,000. I thought we could like maybe find a really cheap one, and then we couldn't. And so he ended up finding a set for sale, like it was on sale for the band and the engagement ring, and the engagement ring was similar to what I had wanted in the past. So he's like, oh, let's buy it, let's just do it all. And so I said okay, and he got the rings on Friday, so I knew I was getting proposed to, because I'm like, okay, one day, we already planned our wedding for Saturday. And yeah, since I already started talking about the wedding, I might as well just fill you in on the whole thing. So Saturday night we went for dinner. That's when we started talking about it. We're like, you know what, why don't we just get married? And he's like, yeah, you know what, maybe we should. So we went to the mall to look for rings. I never thought I would find a ring at the mall, but we did. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy your wedding band, let's just do this damn thing. So then we ended up getting the rings, and I contacted one of our friends who had said in the past, like, she kept telling us we should get married the whole time because she's religious and it's the order of things, and we should just be married before we have a baby. And not that that is true, like totally true in my opinion. I think it's totally fine. My parents never got married, and they still aren't married, but they've been together for 30 years. So marriage isn't really, it's not always important, but I knew she felt it was. So I contacted her right away and just said, hey, we're thinking of getting married and we need to find someone to marry us. And she had always said that her pastor would do it. So we originally thought we were going to go to the courthouse, and it ended up being like, no, just come to my church and we'll do it there. And so we needed 2 witnesses. So I told my best friend and then her, and I asked her to be our witness. So we asked for 2 witnesses. Okay, this was all it's going to be. Then we ended up telling our parents, because we're like, hey, maybe we should let them know that we're going to get married. And Daniel wanted to ask permission from my dad, even though we'd already bought the rings. We were going to do it anyway, but he was just being like, you know, how you're supposed to do things, I guess. I don't know. So anyways, he asked my dad for my hand in marriage. We ended up telling both of our parents. They were like, what the fuck? We want to be there. And so we were like, okay, that's fine, parents. And then Daniel's sister and her husband come. And then it slowly just turned into more, because our original plan was to have like our big wedding, which we still plan on having in 2020, and our grandparents may not be around for that. So we were like, okay, maybe we should invite the grandparents. And then it turned into, okay, maybe we should invite the aunts. And then it just slowly escalated, and within 3 days we had planned an entire wedding, because more people that I knew were coming. I was like, okay, you know what, this is turning into a thing. I wanted to wear like sweatpants and just go to like the just the piece or whatever. And then everyone kept saying, you can't wear sweatpants, you need to wear something nice. So I was just gonna wear a skirt. And then it was like, go look for a wedding dress. So I went and looked for a wedding dress on a Tuesday. I wasn't expecting to find anything because I was 5 months pregnant, and I wasn't willing to spend a whole bunch of money because I didn't want to put money into this, because I want to still have a big wedding later. And I found a wedding dress, and so then I was like, okay, I guess I'll buy it, and ended up paying for all the other shit too. And then we were like, okay, now I wanted decor, because how can I get married in this church without some pink flowers or white flowers? So then I ended up finding someone for decor. And then once this all escalated, I was like, oh my god, I need a photographer, because now I have a dress and we have decor. And anyways, it turned into a freaking wedding, and there was like 30 or 40 people there, all within 4 days. So that was a really fast shotgun wedding. And then the baby was born. So that's all kind of cool, I guess. All our life milestones all at once. And that's how we ended my 3rd trimester, I guess, was with a bang, because we got married. Yeah. So yeah. That was basically my 3rd trimester, and I will definitely make another video hopefully soon. Baby's napping, which is really nice. He's whined like twice while I've been filming this, but I've been letting him, you know, chill, and he goes back to sleep, so that's really nice. But I'll film another one talking about my experience now as mom and my C-section recovery experience and all that jazz, because it just was awesome. Anyways, I will see you in the next video, and if there's anything I didn't cover about my third trimester that you're interested in, because that now is like, seems ages ago and I probably forgot so much shit, just ask me. You can always email me, message me on Instagram, comment on this video, and I will respond to you. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video.